Sticky information is the key information that is embodied in the people, places, and structures within a culture. Sticky info is embodied in the people, places, organizations, societal constructs, and other contextual entities. The developer must take sociocultural factors into consideration. A device should fit seamlessly into societal norms by not resembling anything with a negative social connotation, not disrupting gender roles, and not causing privacy issues. ECG readings, which are readings of the electrical activity of the heart, are typically taken by directly placing electrodes at several points on the chest. However, the electrodes need to be placed directly onto the skin. This would not be appropriate for a woman if the clinic did not have privacy, as is often the case in public clinics and resource-constrained environments. A single lead design could be implemented, and electrodes can be placed on the ankles and wrist. This is another example of a situation that uses sticky information. This is Amanda. Amanda traveled to Kenya to gather research for a potential telemedicine system that would be implemented there. In order to gain valuable information for her research, while making sure to respect the locals, she needed to be familiar with the Kenyan culture in order to be successful. Amanda has to be careful of power relations. In foreign countries, power hierarchy may vary from her homeland. Deconstruction of power dynamics means developing an understanding of who in the target community controls money, holds a formal position of authority, has a strong political position, and serves as an opinion leader, which is someone whose opinions have notable influence over other community members' opinions. Amanda has to keep in mind that gender roles differ in Kenya than her home country. Gendered objects, roles, and activities vary from culture to culture. In this context of Kenya, a woman's job entails caregiving and caring for her children. A man's job deals with technology and money. Amanda must keep this information in mind as to not offend her partners. Culture is the lens through which you view the world. It is central to what you see, how you make sense of what you see, and how you express yourself. Cultural dimensions can be used to describe a specific culture. There are 4 cultural dimensions. The first cultural dimension is directness. In some cultures, it is okay to say exactly what you are thinking, but in others it could be offensive, and you may want to imply the message. This is an example of a man who is directly stating what he is thinking. This man is beating around the bush. It is up to you to figure out which is more respectful in the certain culture you are dealing with. The second cultural dimension is hierarchy. Depending on the status of the partners you are working with in a certain culture, deciding when to follow orders or engage in debate about a subject is key to respecting your partners. The third cultural dimension is consensus. Culture dissent is accepted or unanimity is favored. In certain situations, it is okay to disagree. But in other situations, a unanimous decision will be needed. The fourth cultural dimension is individualism. People within a culture may be more adept to working alone or working with others. In this situation, this man worked hard and won for himself. In this situation, it was a team effort where all players worked together and all players won. This is a Coca-Cola ad that was used in the Middle East. It was unsuccessful. Why was it unsuccessful? If I were reading this advertisement in the Middle East, what I would take from it is that Coca-Cola would make me pass out and not energize me at all. The problem is that in the Middle East, Arabic, Hebrew, and similar languages are read from right to left. There is a difference in culture from the basis of language, just from the manufacturer to the customer. This treadle pump is an example of a technology that is appropriate in some places but not in others. In the US, it may be fine for a woman to use this pump, but in some places, the swaying of the hips that occurs is seen as offensive. This treadle pump is not widely considered inappropriate and is very successful and appropriate in many cases. It is important to keep in mind what technology is appropriate for the culture you are working with. For each question asked about the context, the entrepreneur must reach an equilibrium among various factors. For example, reaching a balance between price point, materials used, and sustainability concerns for the specific user and their context. How do you learn to use a mobile phone? The peach color represents people who would ask a vendor for help. The white represents people who would imitate others using a mobile phone. The light blue represents people who would read the instructions. The yellow represents those who would read the instructions and then try to use it themselves. The maroon color represents those who would perform trial and error when using the mobile phone, and the lavender represents those who would ask their friends for help. The Chinese are split up evenly between trial and error, imitating, and asking a vendor. Indians will most likely ask their friends. Italians will use trial and error. And Germans will read the manual. Because they all grew up in different cultures, the way they make decisions is different as well. Remember, when creating a system for a specific culture, you must know your customers and use sticky information to the best of your ability to cater to your customers and your partners. This is key to the success of a venture.